Welcome, guys. Great to see some of you arrived, and I expect more to tune in as we go through this. But firstly, welcome everyone to the inaugural session here of Silicon Docs investment webinars. From small beginnings, we hope great things here will emerge, and this is very much a small beginning. And what prompted us to host this webinar was following on discussions that I would have with various investors around Dublin, my father, my family, and other people about our desire to activate and encourage people to become investors directly in companies, directly in opportunities, and really try and turn on a new sector of investing in Ireland for a much wider group of people who we feel are probably excluded from these kind of opportunities in the same way as we've felt excluded from them ourselves over the years. And we're bringing forward these ideas to you as a group here as the first group that we believe there's a great way for Irish investors to unlock very high return angel investments and investments in niche assets. And it's how we kind of empower ourselves into our own financial futures. This video is being recorded for you all. I'm going to put the recording up on the website afterwards. And hopefully then it lives on into the future. And as I said at the beginning here, we expect to run these webinars on a monthly basis on Fridays like this, possibly the last Friday of a month, just to share together what we're doing, what we're seeing in the world as investment ideas, and hopefully then get feedback from yourselves as to what you guys are seeing and where we align on an opportunity. We want to bring it forward to a group of people who are going to develop here over time. And we want to execute, as a group on some of the opportunities that we think will exist in the future, which we know will exist in the future, but they'll only exist if we're very active in looking for them. And if we're kind of a mindset to make investments and try and find great opportunities. So to kind of kick us off here and really plant the seeds, what I'm going to do today is walk you through some of the great angel investors in the world, and some of their great angel investments, and then try and bring that back as to how we could see ourselves becoming like them. Because the thesis that I've developed over many years of investing is that to create great opportunities, to build big returns and be involved in the formation of fantastic companies, we have to be looking for the opportunity. We have to be very serious as investors about that. It's not going to fall into our laps accidentally by meeting somebody and knowing somebody. And I think as the world is globalized and as Ireland is globalized, we see ourselves as investors out into the world, not just into Irish companies, but we definitely have an edge here and an opportunity in Dublin and Cork and Limerick and around the country to identify young Irish talented companies and try and nurture these guys into the world market. Because currently, the reality for a small Irish company is that it's very challenging to raise capital. There's a very poor, undeveloped capital markets in Ireland, and it really only facilitates large, wealthy investors and large, kind of well-organized, wealthy companies. And it's excluding, me and us for sure, I think, and I believe it's excluding most people out there. And by being excluded from this opportunity, we're all doing different things with our money, but we're essentially missing out on this great opportunity to get involved in fantastic companies. So I'm going to flip over here to a presentation in which I've prepared and which will hopefully be thought-provoking for yourselves and plant some seeds today, create some ideas, and hopefully create some feedback and really challenge everyone here to be, do I think I'm able to be this kind of angel investor? Do I believe I've got the risk appetite for it? Do I believe I can make the right decisions? I believe it's in all of us, but I also believe that we have to operate as a group and share the knowledge because, individually we're all very weak in the world in practice. And it's the assessing and kind of the group looking at projects and sharing knowledge where I think we can unpick a lot of knowledge, power, opportunities, and ultimately find, the unicorn. You'll see on the next slide, me and a little bit about me from the past. And for people here who don't know me, I will give you a little brief summary. My name is Simon Kelly. I come from a well-established Irish business family. We've been involved in a wide range of investments and businesses, from real estate to hotels to bars and restaurants to overseas construction projects in North America, and in Europe and in London. And I suppose that's given us the ability to see the highs and lows of business, what's possible when you operate as a group. We've had huge highs in our careers around investing and owning the Sawgrass golf course in North America, for example. We've had tragic lows dealing with NAMA and the financial crisis in 2008. But essentially, having come through all that, I believe we've very deep, unique knowledge about how the world operates. what's worked in the past and what hasn't worked for us. And that's where we think we can bring that to you guys as a group, bring it into this kind of forum and say how, if we can unpick our knowledge and then take the knowledge that you guys have as well. We don't see ourselves as oracles or people holding all the knowledge. We're just saying, here's where we've got to in the world, and here's where we believe we can make decisions and try and unpick opportunities. And where I've landed upon that is that in Ireland, we've a unique ability. We've unique software businesses being built in the country at the moment, and every great Irish and European software company has to ultimately become focused on the USA. But to get to that market, you've obviously got to build yourself here in Ireland. You've got to capitalize yourself. You've got to prove out the early stage investment stuff here, which I'll take you through in a later slide. And then as you've sharpened your teeth in this economy, you can then move your business globally. And that's how, as investors, if we can identify these opportunities, right in our local neighborhood where we have a unique access to them. Because as I look at the ecosystems of the world, the Silicon Valley ecosystem in the West Coast of America is fantastically developed, hugely competitive, building amazing companies, which you'll see in the next slide. And sometimes I'm tempted looking at the Irish market to go, how could we compete? Could we be like that? And ultimately, I've come to the conclusion this year has been where I've made the pivot into this kind of sector that I believe we can. I believe we've got the skills and the companies and the ammunition all around us to compete in these sectors. But we have to get strong together as a group. Me by myself can't do it. No individual investor can do it by themselves. And the success we're going to build is really being wide in our search for great companies, primarily focus in Ireland. And then as we find these great companies, building them here for a while and then releasing them to North America. And the great disappointment that I've noticed over the last 10 years is that Stripe was an Irish company, could have been an Irish company, is essentially a West Coast North American company now. And nobody in Ireland has made any money on Stripe. Yet it was sitting here, in front of us, probably quite obvious if we'd really been looking like this. So my last line here is hunting for unicorns. And I guess that's really where I've come to you as a group. We have to have intentions to find these great companies. We have to be open to meeting young people, listening to their business plans, and then bringing our expertise into them to help them, execute that plan, support them, as my father would say. And it's only with this real intention that we're going to be able to profit as an Irish investors from these kind of people, as opposed to watching, in awe from the sideline, but not participating. And ultimately, we want to participate in this sector. I want to be a significant participant in the angel investing sector globally. So I've given an example here, and these will probably be strangers, I expect, to everybody on this call. So I'm going to talk about these people individually a little bit. And I suppose they're inspirations. I want these people to be inspirations for us all. These are normal guys, normal people out in America who've made the decisions to become, huge angel investors, and they've unlocked and built some of the greatest companies in the world, and not by having a fortune of money. And this is what I've just discovered in my research for the year. These guys are not writing $5 million into a company. They're writing 25, 50, 10, $100,000 into the right company at the right point, and it's creating a massive return for them, because they're writing before anybody else writes any money, and they're enabling the companies to grow and get started and survive. And then the big venture capital machine is kicking in and helping to build these companies. So Jason Kalinakis is a very famous angel investor from the West Coast. He's just moved to Austin, Texas, to get away from the madness of California, as he would say. But he was my first insight into the sector. Jason's if anyone here listens to the All In podcast, I highly recommend it. It's venture capitalists in California, explaining how they think. And I've been an avid listener since the beginning of the podcast. But Jason's famous for investing in a very, very early round in Uber. And really that probably opened his eyes to this world of angel investing. Jason put $25,000 into Uber when he was a Sequoia very early stage investor. And that investment turned into $100 million. And I suppose if I pause on that and I just think about, having the opportunity to meet the Uber founders at that very early stage required Jason to be out socially meeting people and basically telling the world, I'm an angel investor. I'm interested in looking at what you've got as an opportunity. Come and talk to me and I will listen to anybody. So huge openness was something that he advocates for. Any of us can talk to Jason about business ideas, and he will put you through an organized process. The picture here is of my son with Jason. He's a founder of Agile Pitch, which is a company based in California now that's in their founder university. And Jason Kalinakis, via his launch fund, takes ideas into a founder university, helps to start up people, mature the idea. Then they enter the accelerator that helps them accelerate their idea. At that point, he's writing a $125,000 check into companies. And then ultimately, at the end of that, and they have a syndicate of private investors, not unlike ourselves here, who participate in the next rounds alongside venture capitalists. So their thesis is very much the only way you can ever get involved in a hugely transformative business that will generate, life-changing returns of capital is to go so early that nobody else can see it. So they pride themselves in going very early with talented founders. And essentially it's worked hugely for them. To lightly mention his other amazing investments, Robinhood, hopefully you've all heard of as a huge stock trading platform in North America, valued at 50 or 60 billion dollars. Trello was a huge software, was sold for 450 million dollars, but it's a project management tool, and Superhuman is, let's say, the cutting edge email browser. So Jason's developed a system of looking wide at lots of young founders and lots of young companies, and ultimately selecting and executing upon the best of them with relatively small checks. And I suppose his investment thesis, which I'll touch on at slightly later in the presentation here, is that if you're doing this widely in a systemized way, you too can find these amazing companies. And by finding an Uber or a Robinhood, you can think about making 1,000x return on a very small investment. The investment could be $5,000 or $10,000. It doesn't have to be serious amounts of money. But there's a couple of rules around that, because you're also going to lose money. And this is later on in the deck, you'll see where we see angel investing as being a massive opportunity for us all, but we also have to get used to some of the downsides of angel investing, which naturally includes losing some money, suffering some pain, seeing some failure, because failure, as we all know, is the opposite side of success. But again, our proposition here to you all is that we're going to be the sharp end of the spear here, looking into these opportunities, and we want to share them with a wide group of people, as big a group as we can develop here on LinkedIn and other media in Ireland, and ultimately build the opportunities that the founder university ecosystem have in the USA. To touch on the other two guys here briefly, Chris Sacca is another very famous angel investor in North America. He got involved in angel investing about 2010 and basically transformed his portfolio from being a normal run-of-the-mill investor into a huge one by investing again in Uber, Instagram, Stripe, and Kickstarter. So these are companies that we all recognize. We're probably using them daily, but every one of these companies requires someone like Chris Sacca to get involved early and write a check for a relatively small amount of money to get going. Chris's typical check size is $50,000 to $150,000 in a fund environment. So again, no one's writing their life savings into the building of these companies, and it's enabling the founders to get the train moving and then enter the big capital markets. And then Ron Conway here on the right, bit older man. He's considered the godfather of angel investing, and he has kind of been behind every huge Silicon Valley company, from Google to Facebook to Twitter to Airbnb to PayPal. So the advantage the Americans have over us is that these three people get every inbound in the world from every startup up in the world who rings them looking for angel money. If you can get one of these guys into your company, like James has in Agile Pitch, you're already into an ecosystem of success, and we want to create this kind of environment here in Ireland where, we want Irish companies to be able to get their first rounds of angel capital here in Ireland, from me, from people around me, and hopefully from a wider group of investors here who support them. And then we want to release these companies into the US markets to grow their business after we've got them ready for that market, after we've helped to train them and got them up to scale, and when they're ready to really land in the USA and succeed really quickly. And one of the key themes that you get from all this company building formation in North America is it's about momentum, speed, execution. Everything works very quickly or it fails very quickly, and things don't drag on too far. And I suppose that's a learning that we're taking from our life of business, is that we've seen many things drag on, and we've seen, Irish institutions be too slow in dealing with losses. And we think the culture that comes from the West Coast is, success comes quite quickly, and you'll see it'll be happening in the small transitions. You'll see small success like users joining your company, software working, bits of revenue, and those very early pieces of success are really a great foreteller of long-term success. Peter Thiel's famous book, 0 to 1, is all about, 0 to 1 is when you create all the value in a business or a product. When it scales up to the size of Apple iPhone, that's just scaling. And that's being done by banks and institutions and venture capitalists, but the real value creation is in the design of that first product. The community we're trying to build is you guys. We want to put our name up here at front on top of the banner going, we're doing this. We're going to try and bring as many people with us, because we know we can't do it by ourselves. We know we can't meet every startup in Ireland by ourselves. We know we can't raise enough capital for these companies or manage them because we're all essentially individuals here. We're not trying to build an institution, we're trying to build a network. And we're trying to build a place where we share opportunities, where we're trying to target great companies and grow our own personal capital. And we're trying to help these founders deliver on their dreams, because ultimately a founder has a dream to deliver a product into the world, to be successful. And as an angel, our job is to make money in the process, but it's also to support these young people in that mission of being globally successful. And ultimately, we know when these people are globally successful, that's how we get success back in Ireland in general. We think that, the current economy in Ireland is fantastic. We're relying hugely on foreign direct investment. We're relying hugely on multinationals. And we know in our hearts we have to build a domestic scene of Irish companies who are strong and competing globally. But the only way we're going to achieve that is by getting them when they're little tiny baby companies at the founder stage and helping them on that journey. So the goal here is to build this community. It's for us not to be there's no chief executive in the middle. I propose to share exactly what I'm doing in the world with everybody on a very transparent basis, my success and my failures, and hopefully inspire you guys to come along and go, we'd like to be alongside you. How could we get involved? There's a couple of kind of summary here of sort of things we think about when you're becoming an angel investor. It's a very long term, it's got a very long tail. So we know angel investing is not, I know I'm not going to find my unicorn next week, put in $25,000 and just go to sleep and come back and collect my $100 million like Jason did. It's about systematically looking at the world, at opportunities, and selectively laying our bets on the table, if you call it that way, getting involved in companies, being supportive to founders, knowing that the payback will come over time in a portfolio. There's a thing in venture capital in North America called the power law, where essentially in a portfolio of investments, you're looking for your best performing investment to be the driver of all your returns. So it's not about everyone doing okay, giving you 5 or 10 or 15% per annum. It's about finding a hugely successful company that gives you 100x or 200x or it's 500x or even 1000x. And that return essentially is the whole return for the portfolio. And to achieve that and find that, it's a willingness to lose and fail. So we know we're going to have companies which fail and go to zero. We know we're going to have founders who are deeply disappointed by not succeeding. And I guess we think our experience coming in as property guys and professional investors is to help those founders understand that's not failure. That's just learning for the future. Close that down, do something else, try again. If you're fundamentally an entrepreneur or a founder at your core, you will try again. You won't give up and go back to a day job. And those resilient, dogged people are the ones who ultimately will be successful in the future. We think it's a really game of strong personalities. So our goal here is to guide people. We can't tell them what to do. We don't know what they should do. We don't know what the future of business looks like, but we know, our personalities, our strength of character, standing beside a founder, really helping them get over the uncertainties they feel at a personal level. They're going to feel massively insecure on days. They're going to feel like failures. They're going to feel like successes. It's a roller coaster. Investing and managing other people's money, if you're a founder, is a roller coaster of emotions. And essentially, it's about supporting that person, but knowing that, we want them to succeed. But if they don't succeed, we don't want to bankrupt them. We don't want to chase them for money. We want to, tell them that it's okay to lose because we want you to get on again and go again. As an angel investor, what do you need? You need to be able to take a leap of faith. You need to trust people. We believe you need to kind of be willing and optimistic about the future. You have to feel that great things are possible in your life, here in Ireland, in our economy, and around us in technology companies. I'm a huge advocate of every new technology out there, have been my whole life. I love AI, I love ChatGPT. I was a huge internet fan. I opened up the first internet cafe in Dublin in 1994 when the internet was a crazy idea that nobody trusted. Nobody wanted to put their credit cards on the internet. So I've seen these huge value creation events happen in my life that I feel I've missed out on. The internet wasn't successful for me. The iPhone was launched in 2007, just when the Irish economy was going off a cliff edge. But the global economy was, saved by mobile technology, and the value creation for Apple has been transformative. You'll see in the next slide. The companies which have embraced the future have won the future, and it reflects in their market caps today. But every one of those companies was built by somebody in a garage who had no money, who needed somebody to come in and help them. My willingness to learn is huge, and I'd encourage that for you guys as well. The world is changing. You've got to be open to this change. Reinforcing past habits and practices won't build us huge value for the future. So I'm very much looking for positive futures, positive outcomes, people who have interesting ideas, the new, the fresh. Sometimes that frustrates people because they think it's fine the way it is, but as an angel investor, you know, the world is full of problems, and we believe the solutions to these problems are opportunities to make returns and deliver more for people and humanity. So like the problems aren't problems, they're just opportunities. And it's looking at the glass as half full all the time, relentlessly every day. And and we believe out of that comes an openness to finding opportunity. You're projecting your energy into the world, looking for opportunity, and ultimately, that's we believe how we find it. It's been our experience to date in our lives that opportunities have always come along to enable us to go to the next gateway in business. And that's after huge failures and great disappointments. The next opportunity always makes up for that. Okay. And independent thinking is vital here as well. You've got to be independent. You've got to believe in your own opinion. We're all bombarded with media. I see it more and more, and I get very frustrated in Ireland in particular about a kind of biased media not looking for change in the world, whether it's anti-AI, anti-crypto, anti. And there's almost an anti-everything going on at the moment. And I think you've got to be able to rise above that. We want to try and help people here with discussions about crypto investments, discussions about things which are considered, off the reservation at the moment here in Ireland, because thinking for yourself is going to be vital in this exciting future. Um, this is like a little teaser which I saw on Twitter yesterday, and it just amazes me when I see it written like this. So these are the largest corporations in the world. The first thing we'll notice is that none of them are European, and none of them are obviously Irish. And this is really how I think during my whole lifetime I've seen these companies built. When I was probably born or being reared in the 70s and 80s, none of these companies essentially existed. The Magnificent Seven, as they're called, which is Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, Nvidia, Microsoft. These companies have grown to dominate the capital markets of the world. The seven of them are 30% of the S&P in America. They're larger than, Apple is bigger than the entire German stock market by itself. So is Nvidia, so is Microsoft. So these companies bestride the world. They're almost so large we can't imagine them. But again, the bit that I'm picking out here is that if we participate as investors in these companies, we're losing our, the profits have essentially been made at this point. Of course, Apple can go to 10 trillion, and if you put your $25,000 into Apple tomorrow, you might get back 50 or 60 in the future. And same for Microsoft, same for Nvidia. But the real returns, we think, sort of the wealth creation and also impact on society around us comes from helping small invisible companies who have ambitions to become something like these, and it's impossible to imagine some days, these companies being born from nothing. But Meta, as we all know, Facebook, was essentially formed in 2004. And Peter Thiel famously put in $500,000 in as the first investor into into Facebook. And he took a 10.2% stake in the business. And that returned him multiple billions of dollars, because he was a 10% shareholder in Facebook through the entire growth phase. There's a very famous investor in North America as well, who invested $1 million of his personal money in the second round of Meta. He was one of the venture capitalists who got involved in a $12 million round. So again, when Facebook was tiny, people were making big decisions around 500,000 or $1 million, but not life-changing amounts of capital. And he returned over $1 billion on his investment as well. So in my dreams about my future life, I'm finding and identifying and working on companies like these ones on the screen here, and helping an Irish version of some of them achieve some corner on this screen, whether it's a tiny one in the bottom here. Oracle is a giant that I've seen my whole life grow and grow and grow. And the theme on all these companies, as we can see, is technology. Technology companies can be built and scaled, within a single lifetime. Meta's being built in a half lifetime. Mark Zuckerberg is still a kind of a young man, and he's achieved $1.3 trillion corporate so far. So it's completely achievable for us to imagine Irish companies growing to these kind of scales. Once they're born in Ireland, again, is the key thing, nurtured in Ireland and sent to North America, which is the greatest economy in the world for building companies in, and they grow there. Those angels, we're looking for these guys, before anybody else sees them, which is a real challenge. So I don't want anyone to underestimate how challenging this is going to be. But I suppose that's why I'm attracted to it. Having been in so many different businesses, I'm attracted to the idea of doing something really hard, but being really well rewarded for doing it well. Okay. And then bringing people along with me. So what does great look like? So when you imagine a small software company, we've all got a friend who set up a software company, or a friend who's got an app or something like that. And, most people who are doing this aren't going to be great and won't have what it takes to achieve great. And I guess this is a little slide here to, I've been researching for probably 20 or 25 years how you build technology companies. I've yet to build a hugely successful one, but I'm absolutely certain during my lifetime I will. And again, what the investors in North America are looking for, the west coast of North America in particular, is they call it triple, 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 double, double, which sounds kind of easy. And it's really that you've developed such a good product in year one that you generate some revenue. That could be $100,000, that could be $500,000, but it's really about proving this demand for your product here at the beginning of the life of the company. And the real proof of demand is that you can quickly scale up the revenue you're generating from those products in year 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 without going crazy burning capital. What has to happen for anything like this to happen, which is very rare, this is a unicorn all day long. If any of us have one of these companies in our pipeline, like, we should all be jumping on it, because this is a unicorn all day long, which is a $1 billion company, a $1 billion private company. And it's at these points of 1 to 3 and 3 to 9 where all the, this is the signals of success are down here. The 54 to 108 is it's a doubling of revenue in year 5 and 6, but it's almost easy up here because you've proven at these very early stages that there's demand for what we're doing. Customers will sign up for this product quickly without having to be bombarded with advertising. They'll use it. They'll tell their friends it's a great product. This is the growth profiling of Facebooks and Ubers and Airbnbs and all these great companies we use today. And they're all multi-billion-dollar revenue companies, but they all came out of this very early growth momentum here. So this is what we're looking for. We're trying to find it, and we're trying to find the people and the founders who understand this and can deliver it. And it's really about delivery. These founders are going to be rare beasts, because to do this, they've got to be working. There's no working from home in this model. This is anti-social hours, relentless travel, programming, a relentless hunt for success, supported by us as angel investors, and ultimately delivering. We have a few things on the go at the moment. We're at the beginning of our cycle here, but as I said to everyone, I'll share everybody what I'm working on, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and then how I see myself expanding it. So firstly, Agile Pitch, top of the list here. I'm working on this startup with my son. He's in the first picture there with Jason. James has moved out to San Francisco to build his startup out there. I'm an angel investor in the business, as are some other people around me. And the company is trying to use AI to enable and accelerate the sales cycle of other software products. I've discovered from my career in technology, the biggest challenge, if we go back to the previous slide, is to deliver this kind of revenue growth. You have to be very efficient in how you sell your product. Otherwise, you're going to be hiring more people. More people equals more cost. More costs equal more capital. And a lot of companies enter the cycle of, I can't grow without capital. I can't get capital till I grow. This is a cycle that I've seen myself in building MX, where we're trying to kickstart that growth. We have customers who love the product, and to find the next customers who love the product is expensive. And that requires new investors, and new investors demand terms which hurt the old investors, which is myself. So Agile Pitch as a product is designed to really turbocharge that sales growth for thousands of companies around the world. We think it's a huge opportunity. And as the AI intelligence behind the application is used by more and more companies, that's the key to the future creation of value. We're all hearing about AI, we're all using a bit of ChatGPT, but the real value from AI is going to be when it's automating processes in a business to make a business more efficient, to enable it to do something with less staff, because staff are capital costs. Capital has to be written by investors. Investors don't like writing any money, and the more you can do without having to go to investors, the better. They've talked about forming companies at the moment powered by large language models and AI, where you might get billion-dollar revenue companies with 5 and 10 people, because the whole company is using the power of AI to drive the business. So we see the greatest companies in the world utilizing AI everywhere, to write their documents, to make their proposals, to market, to use the social media, to enable them on sell, to assist their coders. And that massive efficiency of leverage also indicates that the ecosystem of AI will then be driven by these companies which are adopting the technologies very, very early. So the first adopters of any new technology are software companies, because they're all looking for this edge. And as Agile Pitch builds out that product, it starts hopefully getting the triple, 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 double, double revenue pipeline. That's what we're aiming for. And if we can hit that graph, we will have built ourselves a unicorn in Ireland. Okay. Yeah, but the key steps again are built in Ireland, formed here, working with coders in Nepal and Southeast Asia, keeping costs very, very low. But being in America, talking to customers and capital markets in America, knowing that's where you win the business. Um, I've been involved in MX as a software company, which I suppose a lot of my knowledge about software comes from MX. MX is a much more traditional SaaS company. We're building out, health and safety and sustainability tools. Customers, it's a different kind of profile customer to Agile Pitch. Our customers are giant corporations who are slow moving. One of the huge frustrations of us in MX is that to sell our product, we're dealing with a slow moving customer who's clunky and lumpy. And I suppose the way we see ourselves transforming that business into a faster growth model is by shortening down our sales cycle completely. We've developed our products. We know our market. We have solutions to our customers that they need. We have 7 out of 10 things done in that business. And the last 4 things we've got to deliver, to get our value and to prove that we're building a valuable business, is sell our product faster to more customers than our competitors are. And ultimately, that's the game of every business in the world. It's about revenue creation. It's about generating revenue. And ultimately, every dollar of revenue that we generate generates capital value, which ties us back to us as investors. The way we make money is finding companies who will relentlessly build revenue because that's what's valued in the market by the ultimate buyers of a business, whether it's a mid-tier American company buying the software companies or a venture capitalist getting involved in a later round. We can't deny our Irish roots, so I've included it here for the purposes of completeness. We're also involved in the property business in Ireland still. In Ireland, I suppose it's a small economy and we're forced to be generalists. And in my heading of this webinar, I've mentioned the EIS as a booster to every company in Ireland. And I suppose this will tie neatly into what we're doing in Quinns here. We're trying to kickstart a business again that was in decline. It was closed. We're raising money using the EIS tax breaks, which are a fantastic tax break for any business in Ireland. And we want to encourage our startups that as we add number 4, 5, and 6 to this list. We think every startup in Ireland should be using the EIS rules to enable investors get this 50% tax break on their investment. So as an angel investor, when you look at any company through us, we think the magic model is you look at an opportunity, you commit to invest 5 or 10,000 euros, you immediately get half that money back from the government in a tax break. So therefore, half your money is already secured by the tax man. That's a unique incentive that doesn't exist out there in the world. It's not available to West Coast Angels. Jason and Chris Sacca don't get that benefit that we get. And if we can utilize that 50% tax rebate, with our client companies, it gives us as angel investors this edge in the world. We can make investments of 10,000, knowing we're getting 5,000 back. And worst case, we can then lose the other 5,000. Ironically, you get a capital gains loss on that 5,000. I think I might check that, but it's mitigating the loss slightly because we're going to lose money in this model. And if we can cut all our losses to 50%, we're going to be fantastic angel investors because when we ride the winners up to the bigger returns, hopefully the 100 plus in the future, it's those lower losses are enabling us to get to these bigger returns in the future. So how we're going to do it? I suppose I woke up early on New Year's Day in 2024 and I wrote my thesis on this kind of idea and I published it in LinkedIn and it went a bit viral on the media. But essentially, I believe Silicondocks in Dublin here is a great way it's a name to rally around. We talk about Dublin having a Silicondocks, which is a slight exaggeration of our technology abilities here. But if we do genuinely develop a Silicondocks of Dublin, which includes startups, capital, angel investors, a more sophisticated VC market, and I see the VC market that we're feeding into really being North America. Any successful Irish company backed by angel investors is unlikely to be backed by Irish venture capitalists, I believe, because if it's showing the early signs of success that we know it needs, it'll be doing deals in North America with brand name venture capitalists. And one of the key things in the building of these companies is that when you're successful, part of the recognition of your success as a small company is that you've got a brand name venture capitalist in your business, on your board, working with you. That could be Jason, that could be Sequoia Ventures, that could be A16Z Mark Andreessen. There is a Premier League of venture capitalists who get involved in very serious technology companies. And when they select your company, you are on the rails to a great future. So we think angel in Ireland is missing. Angel has to be built by real people like ourselves. It's small people, it's not institutions, it's individuals working together. And by delivering that angel there, the rest of the capital stack for any well-done software company in Ireland will be in North America, and the founders will move to North America. And that's the deal we're going to make with them. They can't live here, build their business here. They'll very much be in North America, building out their customers, dealing with the venture capitalists out there. But the returns for that sacrifice they make, if we call it that, and I don't think it's a sacrifice, over 10 or 15 years, is they build a huge business that's massively successful, that's massively rewarding for them, both professionally and financially. So the communication webinars are the first thing we want to do. We want to talk about deals. We want to share deals. We want to share success. We want to share failure. When we find something that we think we want to share with the group here, I believe in online transparent deal execution. So we see the entire transaction taking place online. We expect to have some in-person meetings, I hope, in the future, as people as we all get to know each other a little bit and we bring in more people. We'd love to be doing this in person sometimes and creating some sharing of ideas in person. But the execution of a deal here can be very seamless. It's all really Silicon Valley standard documentation. How companies are built and invested in is standardized, in the West Coast of America, and we intend to completely copy and replicate that exactly. There's no need for us there's no unique way of investing. It's very simply go into a company with a safe agreement or with an early stage share deal. In terms of EAS in Ireland, it's got to be shares, and let the company go and do its thing. Lots of monitoring, reporting, and supporting. We know every young founder can't do it by themselves. They think they probably can. They're going to need support and experience. That's the bit we want to bring with our experience from building large real estate businesses, MX, technology companies. And we know the challenges that are ahead of them. But we also know when they find that bit of success, it's to find that, what they call it, the magic product market fit. When you find product market fit for your product, you'll know what success feels like, because demand will be coming at you very quickly. My email's at the bottom there, everybody. My mobile's there as well. And I'm completely open to people reaching out, chatting, sharing ideas. I'll turn off my screen share here. Stop sharing. Here we go. And I suppose that concludes what I want to kick off here with you all, which is really throwing out this idea to the community. It's a very small community here to start with, but we know great things always start from small communities. And hopefully we all look back one day when we've made some great angel investments here and we go, we were there at the beginning. We want to be angel investors. We want to build great companies, make great returns, and be on the sidelines as great founders build their businesses, and be proactive on this and look. So I look forward to seeing you all hopefully in a month's time. I'll come back with further ideas, and I propose keeping everyone's email here and maybe sending a follow-up email to everybody after this, just so that a bit of you guys can come back, you can ask questions, you can share ideas, and we can plan the next steps. Thank you very much. Bye bye.